Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityananda Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharya Nirvishesha Shankaradi Prasakya Vasataya Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Granth Raja Ki Jai. Bolo Shri Krishna Bhagavan Ki Jai. So we're continuing in the second chapter and also in the book. So we were discussing the peace formula, how to attain real shanti. And that is explained in the 5th chapter, 29th verse. And there are three truths or elements of the peace formula. That is, Bhaktaram Yagitapasam, Sarvalokam Maheshwaram, Suridam Sarvabhutana, Gyatvanam Santim Richati. One knows three things. One, Krishna is the ultimate beneficiary of all yagyas or sacrifices. Krishna is Maheshwara, the supreme proprietor and controller of everything in creation, in the spiritual world and the material world. And number three, Krishna is Suridam, the best friend and well-wisher of the living entity. So we covered points 1 and 2, and today we're going to cover point 3. So we're on page 9. You can use these books. And at the same time, we refer to Bhagavad Gita. Page 9 says that Krishna is the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities. Benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities. That is that he's the person that's the most generous and giving and the well-wisher, always wishing us to do better and better in our life. So Lord Krishna is the ultimate benefactor. This fact is stressed by the following verse from the Katha Upanishad. Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vididati Kamam Tam Atmastam Ye Nanupasyanti Dhiras Te Sam Santi Saswati Netarasam. The Supreme Lord is eternal and the living entities are eternal. The Supreme Lord is cognizant and the living entities are cognizant. Cognizant means they're capable of all knowledge. The difference is that the Supreme Lord is supplying all the necessities of life for the many other living entities. So this one verse from the Katha Upanishad differentiates Krishna or God from everyone else, including Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and all the Devatas. Krishna is the ultimate benefactor and supplier of all necessities of life. But that does not alter the fact that Krishna is eternal and we are also eternal. This one fact is not understood by most people. They think that we're all subject to birth, old age, disease, and death. Well, as long as we're attached to the temporary body, whatever happens to the body affects us. But by using the body in the service of Krishna and for the purpose of devotion, serving the Lord with love and devotion, we are no longer affected by these four miseries, or these four, let's say, obligations put on the body. That's birth, old age, disease, and death. So Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality Godhead, maintains the innumerable living entities according to their individual activities and the karma attributed to them. As stated above in the Ishopanishad, the Lord provides the minimum requirements for each living entity, which are set aside as a quota. So we already studied that verse, Ishavaishamidam Sarvam Jakinja Jagat. It's on the previous page, you see it. Tena tak tena bunjitaha ma'abhitaha kashisvidam. So this is the first mantra of the Ishopanishad, which says that everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota, and one should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. Well, this mantra has a deep meaning. That is, first of all, God is providing for everyone. Krishna is providing for everyone. Like, for example, an elephant can eat up to 300, sometimes 400 pounds of grass or leaves or whatever a day. If you kept an elephant as a pet, you probably would go bankrupt, trying to supply all the food. But yet Krishna is supplying food to hundreds and thousands of elephants every day in Africa, Southeast Asia. So that's just one animal, right? Look at all the other animals in the world. There's birds, there's fish, there's insects, reptiles. So he's providing food for all of them. None of them are planting, none of them are, cultivating gardens or anything like that. And he's providing food to all living entities. So, and Ishopanishad clearly states there's a minimum for everyone. When we take more than what we need, that's when we get into trouble with the laws of karma. And it is sinful to collect more than what you need. So now some people, they can naturally, they have the ability to earn much more than what they need. So all that is extra should be used in the service of the Lord. That way there's no karmic reaction. As soon as we accumulate more than we need and hold on to it selfishly, we get affected by the laws of karma. So, and some people intrinsically understand this. This was understood in India for thousands and thousands, millions of years. That's why people lived very simple lives. They used the extra that they had to serve the Lord. That's how they built these beautiful, gigantic temples all over India. But the people themselves lived very simply and healthy and obviously peacefully. And because of that, you have over 1 million Indians today. Right? How did that happen? Because of the culture, because of their fundamental beliefs.
So that will propose like the karmic law, it doesn't apply to the animals because they don't accumulate anything.
No, they just take what they need. Like, for example, there was this one girl in Ethiopia. In Ethiopia, they had genital circumcision of women. Right? So when her parents did that to her, it's a Muslim thing. When her parents did that to her, she was so, traumatized by that experience. She was only like 13. She ran away from home. And she just kept running and running and running, and then her father couldn't catch her. And she fell down exhausted and fell asleep somewhere in the desert. And when she woke up, there was a lion looking right at her. And she was like frightened out of her wits, but she couldn't even move. When the lion looked at her for a little bit, then he just walked away. Why? Because
Already had ate something.
he had already eaten something. When they're satisfied, they're not predators, right? It's only when they're hungry that they go out and hunt. Like an alligator. Alligator, let's say the alligator eats a person, right? He might not eat for another 3 weeks after that. A snake is like a boa constrictor, a snake. They can swallow a whole deer, but then they won't eat for a month and a half. They're just digesting that deer. You can walk in front of them, they won't do anything. Right? 'Cause they're satisfied. So this is, and then birds will come, they'll eat a little something here and there, and they go and next day they'll come back again.
But the animal, like they have also sufferings, right? So why that come to them? Because they are not accumulating any karma. So what is that they are like suffering from? They have been like a human being at some point and they got something.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, one animal or one living entity is food for another. So you have this food chain going on. Right? But they're not committing any sinful activities. But they all have a karma because you know you're going up and down in the evolutionary scale. As long as we have material attachments, we keep taking birth again, and we have a mixed bag of good and bad karma. Right? Okay, so these are fundamental points that God has set aside for everyone their minimum needs. This was understood for thousands of generations in India, and that's why people live peacefully. And but you know, in a capitalistic society, people just tend to accumulate more than what they need, and usually because of that, they get sick, they get into legal problems, they're fighting. Like you know, you can see in very rich families, like the Ambani family, one son is, one brother is suing the other brother, and the mother is on the side of one brother, right? Why? Because of money, right, and power. Now, if they were all living simply, then they wouldn't sue each other. Whenever there's a lot of money involved, then people, you know, get jealous or whatever. You get it, even in families. It's not just races and things like that. Even amongst the same family, because of money and power, they sue each other, or they fight, or they kill each other. So here it says, as stated above in Isha Upanishad, the Lord provides the minimum requirements for each living entity, which are set aside as a quota. One who is satisfied with what the Lord provides and does not strive for more material facilities than minimally required, uses whatever extra there is in the service of the Lord. By such unselfish acts of devotion, one is freed from the cycle of karma in this world, and one can attain permanent peace due to living without committing sinful acts. The Lord not only provides sustenance to all living beings, he also reveals himself progressively as his devotee surrenders unto him. Yetamam papadyante tamstataiva pujamyam mamavart manavartante manusya parta sarvasaha. This is Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, 11th verse. As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Printa. So, when a person is living sinlessly, without committing sin, then, when they go to sleep at night, they have a very good sleep. They're not worried. When they wake up in the morning, they're not worried. It's only when we commit sinful activities that difficult situations arise, and then anxiety and fear. So there are 4 types of reactions to sinful activities. This is explained in 9th chapter, 2nd verse, Bhagavad Gita, in the purport. It says, so 9th chapter, 2nd verse says, Raja Vidya Raja Guyam Pavitram Idam Uttamo Pratyaksha-vagamam Dharmam Susakam Kartam Avyam. So it says, this knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting, and it is joyfully performed. So if you look in the 5th paragraph in the purport,
Which verse actually?
9th chapter, 2nd verse. 9th chapter, 2nd verse. So in the 5th paragraph of the purport or the commentary, there's a verse from the Padma Purana. Aparabda phalam papam, kutam bijam phalam mukam, kramena eva praliyate, Vishnu bhakti ratat manam. And this says, for those who are engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all sinful reactions, whether fructified in the stock or in the form of a seed, gradually vanish. Therefore, the purifying potency of devotional service is very strong and is called Pavitram Uttamam, the purest. Okay, so there are 4 types of reactions to sinful activities. The first, anyone who is born in a material body has the tendency to commit papa, or sinful activities from previous life. Has a tendency, right? And it's something that we have to learn to control. But that tendency, if it's not controlled, then we become attracted to certain types of sinful activities naturally, due to previous lives' desires, unfinished desires. So, the first thing is this tendency to sin will lead us to committing a sinful activity. And that is already then the reactions begin. First reaction is called aparabdha. Aparabdha means it's unseen. It's something that will happen in the future, but there's no way you can tell because it's unseen. So there's aparabdha. And then there is this bijam, is a seed that manifests. And then this phalon mukam, the seed begins to sprout. And then there's the flower, or it comes up, and then the fruit, or the flower, and then the fruit. So everything begins unseen. Then there is a seed. The seed flowers, and then there's a fruit. And then what remains after that is the tendency or the inclination to sin again. Okay. So you have aparabdha and parabdha. You have unseen and seen reactions to sinful activities. So in the aparabdha state, unseen state, you cannot tell. Just like right now, I don't know if I'm going to have an accident tomorrow, the next day, or a heart attack, or someone might rob me, or just like my nephew. He's a member of the United States Army, Air Force. He just graduated from the University of Chicago, and he went into the Air Force. And he was training already, even in college he was training in ROTC. So as soon as he went in the Air Force, he got the position of not a lieutenant, but he's got a rank already. He's not like an ordinary soldier. And he lives in Los Angeles. And a couple weeks ago, these 2 thieves came up to him with a gun while he was walking down the street, and they robbed him. He pointed a gun at him, and he immediately took everything out of his pocket, his watch and everything, and gave it to him. So that's some kind of a reaction to something that happened in the past, maybe not this life, but previous life, right? Now he didn't know that was going to happen, right? So just like 3 days ago, I got a call from a gentleman in Bellevue, and he said that his father and mother just came from India to visit them, and his father died, right? And now they have to arrange the funeral, right? So father didn't know he's going to die if he comes to America, right? These are all, subject to reactions to something that happened in the past, right? Either in this life or in previous lives. So that's called aparabdha, it's unseen. And then there's parabdha, there are visible signs. So the first visible sign is the seed, the bijam. The seed of sinful activity, and it's a reaction to previous. So at that point, a person feels a certain attraction to some types of sinful activity. They don't actually do anything, but they feel attracted to it. Right? And then the second stage is the flowering of the seed. They begin to have bad dreams. They begin to develop very strong material desires that they have a difficult time controlling. Right? And they just keep popping up in their mind. Right? And then they succumb to the desire and they commit a sinful activity. Right? And then you have the mature state, and that is, the fruit. People are born either they're very poor, they're very ugly, not educated, or they have a congenital disease. They can be born with a physical defect. They can be born mentally retarded, or autism, or paraplegic, something wrong with their limbs, etc., or they have a heart valve that doesn't work. It's so many different manifested physical and mental problems that they can't, they're either born like that or they have a severe accident and they become like that the rest of their life. So these are all reactions to sinful activities that have been committed. And after all that, it's the kutam, the tendency or inclination to sin still remains and goes into the next life. Right? So therefore, in the Vedic tradition, right from childhood, children are trained to control the mind and the senses, so that, and they're trained in devotional service. Just like Prabhupada, he was born in a family, they were Vaishnavas, and right from the beginning of his life, they trained him to do Vasiyatra, they trained him to offer the food, they trained him to do this, to do that, and they didn't expose him to sinful activities. They didn't eat meat, they didn't drink, they didn't go to parties and things like that. They were devotees. And they lived in a, you can see where they lived, it's in a house, it's a big family compound, let's put it like that, in Bara Bazar. You know Bara Bazar in Calcutta. Bara Bazar is the big ancient market right in the center of town. And Prabhupada and his family lived in the Mullik compound. Mullik families, a very wealthy family. They had their own temple. That temple is still there, the deity is still there. That it's exactly like it was, 100 years ago. Right? And he grew up there, actually in a temple compound, right in the center of Calcutta. Right? So, such a birth is very fortunate, and it means he was very pious in previous lives to be able to be born in such a family, in such a situation where right from the beginning of his life he's fully trained by his family. Then Prabhupada said when he finally went to college, the Scots College in Calcutta, he said that all the training he had received in his family began to loosen, to become a little hazy. Why? Because of all the material education he's received. He said, but then, when he almost was ready to graduate, he refused his diploma because he joined Gandhi's movement of protest against the British. So he completed his college studies, but he refused to take the diploma. And at that time he met his guru. And he said, once he met his guru, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, everything he had learned earlier became reawakened. And what he's explaining is the negative effect of modern materialistic education. Even he said he was affected by it. Right? And fortunately, when he met his guru, it all reawakened again. That's what happens to these kids. By the time they finish college, maybe not all, but most are seriously affected, and they lose the enthusiasm for spiritual life, and they get, completely overwhelmed. Just like one lady was talking to me a couple months ago. She's a grandmother, and her daughter, her granddaughter, was a very good girl. She was a Bharatanatyam dancer. They took her to the temple. They used to bring her to our temple also. And she grew up, and she graduated, went to college, went to a good college, and now she's about 31, 32. Now the grandmother came to me and was complaining. She said, she doesn't want to get married. She's so involved in her profession. She said, we're very worried about her. What can we do? I said, what can you do? You should have done it when she was, younger. You pushed her into academics, and look what happened. Like, she doesn't want to get married. She's become a modern woman. They don't even want to get married anymore. And so, whose fault is it? Is it the girl's fault, or is it the grandmother and the mother's fault? It's definitely the grandmother's and mother's fault, the father, because they pushed the girl into academics. And what do they learn? They learn all these demoniac concepts of, marriage is not really that important, and then now the family is freaked out. They're actually freaked out. They don't know what to do. So it's better if she didn't get all that education. She got married and had children, and to take care of the children, take care of her husband, and maintain her traditions, right? But no, they pushed her, and then, the result is she'll probably never get married. They get used to living like that. Okay, so, as all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. So, if one learns to live sinlessly, without committing sinful activities, no meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit activities outside of marriage, and no anger, lust, greed, envy, illusion, and insanity, right? They live a simple, pure life. Then the Lord reveals himself to the sincere devotee in proportion to the devotee's efforts to satisfy him only. The more the devotee develops love for the Lord, the more Krishna reveals himself. Spiritual knowledge is not an academic process. It is revealed by the Lord progressively as the devotee sincerely serves the Lord. So here we see that real knowledge is something that is revealed to us and actually remembered, and not something learned. because we've lived many lives already. So obviously we've experienced so many things already. But when we get born, we forget everything. But it's possible to revive the memory of previous experiences, and most of them will be horrible or sad, right? So then a person wakes up and they realize the real nature of material life, and they become very serious about spiritual life. And then Krishna reveals himself. Krishna playing the flute. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is always tending to the cows. Krishna, just like, in the Damodar Astakam, it says that Itidrik Swalila Bir Ananda Kunde Swagosam Nimajantam Akyaparantam Tadiye Sita Yesu Bhaktarjitatmam Punak Prematastam Satavritirande. Those super excellent pastimes of Lord Krishna's babyhood drowned the inhabitants of Gokula in pools of ecstasy. To the devotees who are attracted only to his majestic aspect of Narayana and Vaikuntha, the Lord herein reveals, I am conquered and overwhelmed by pure loving devotion. To the Supreme Lord Damodar, my obeisances hundreds and hundreds of times. So, one becomes enamored by the beauty, the simplicity, and the loving nature of Krishna's childhood pastimes in Vrindavan. Therefore it says, Varam Deva Moksham Va Mokshavadimma Nachanyam Vrineham Varisad Apiya Idam Te Vapurnata Gopala Balam Sadame Manasa Virastam Kimanyai. O Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benedictions, I do not pray to you for liberation, nor eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon or benediction. My only prayer is that your childhood pastimes may constantly appear in my mind. I do not even want to know your feature of Paramatma. I simply wish that your childhood pastimes may ever be enacted in my heart. So, this Damodar Astakam prayers are extremely important if you want to understand the progressive, ecstatic nature of real spiritual life. What is the reward for living sinlessly? What is the reward for living a simple life? Simple living and high thinking. The reward is that Krishna reveals himself to us like television within the heart. We actually perceive the activities of Krishna in the spiritual world. Just like Sanjaya in the Bhagavad Gita, there was no television, there was no radio, there were no harnessing electromagnetic waves 6,000, 5,000 years ago. But there was, through a different technology, the technology of living a sinless life, dedicated to serving the Lord. So Sanjaya is sitting in Hastinapur or Delhi, and he's telling Dhritarashtra what's happening in Kurukshetra, which is hundreds of miles away, in real time. And he's repeating the discussion of Krishna and Arjuna in real time. And there's no wires, there's no electromagnetic waves, but there's another circuit. The other circuit is purification of the heart and the mind through devotional service. Therefore, he's able to see and hear things that are hundreds of miles away or thousands of miles away or billions of miles away happening in the spiritual world. You see, there was a much higher technology before. Sanjaya and Dhritarashtra sitting in Hastinapur. How is it that they know exactly what's happening in Kurukshetra? You see.
Even Prabhuji, there is one verse in Mahabharata where he explains that from far up how earth looks like.
Yeah.
Dhritarashtra asks him, and that's when he says like there's it looks like two aswastha patra, like aswastha, banyan tree, aswastha tree, I don't know what you say.
Barkat?
No, it's called the
That
the
leaf,
banyan tree is called the Chandamsi. 1 second, I'll tell you what it is.
it has two leaves like that and one rabbit.
Yeah.
It looks like that.
Yeah.
And when
Bud
you plant
curry.
that, like, huh?
Bud.
Yeah, it looks like it looks like a rabbit with two leaf. That's a bird section. Yeah. And when actually you turn that
Aswatam.
Aswati.
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 Yeah.
So that leaf, and when you turn that image, when you draw that image, you turn it, you will see actually Earth looks like that only. So
From
there
outer
is one
space.
verse, and with every details is there. You turn that picture, and first time you will what is you are looking at, and you turn that because you are looking from up.
Yeah, there was an article was where it was saying whatever you discussed.
Yeah, when you look up, that's what it looks like, actually. But when you really make it front, I can show you that picture later on.
Okay.
In your conference. It's very interesting.
But you see, we don't realize the potential we have. We're so dumbed down by modern education. We think, well, there's just matter, there's nothing else, you know. And we're going to be born, and we're going to get old, and we're going to get sick, and we're going to die, and it's all over. It's all nonsense. That's not education, that's ignorance, that's agyan. We don't realize the potential we have. The potential we have is being described here. It says, Tesam satata yuktanam vajatam pratipurvatam tadami buddhiyogamtam yenamam upayantite. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Bhagavad Gita 10:10. So Krishna is saying when we're always engaged in his service, then he reveals himself. But we're engaged in service with love. So what did it say? What did it say here in the third verse of the Damodara Astakam? Krishna reveals. See, he says, I'm not interested in Narayana, in Vaikuntha. I mean, not Krishna, the devotee, the Satyavrata Muni. He says, I'm not interested in Narayana. I mean, he has respect for Narayana, so I'm not interested in Narayana. He says that Krishna, and then he reveals, Krishna says, I am conquered and overwhelmed by pure loving devotion. So Krishna is Ajita, he's unconquerable. No one can conquer him. But yet, Mother Yasoda has conquered Krishna by her love. Therefore, she's able to catch him and tie him up to the mortar. And when she's running after him with a stick, he's afraid. He's shivering. But Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. He killed Pralambasura, he killed Agasura, he killed Sakatasura, he killed all these demons, Dhenukasura. He killed Kamsa, right? But he's shivering with fear, and he's crying, and his surma, or his kajal, is melting and coming down on his cheek because his mother is chasing him. So therefore, Mother Yasoda is the greatest devotee because the Lord is completely dependent on her, and he's willing to let her catch him and tie him up, which is impossible to do for anyone else. Right? Just like the demon Jarasandha, he tried to catch Krishna, and he couldn't. And he was a very powerful person. So spiritual knowledge is present in the heart of the devotee, where Lord Krishna is seated as Paramatma, the Supersoul. From him come knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. And we're reading from page 10. Right? The Lord dwells in the heart of the devotee and all living entities as the witness. When a devotee makes a serious effort to hear submissively the glories of the Lord, Krishna takes special interest to help the devotee to always remain engaged in devotional service. By such service, the Lord opens the doors of knowledge from within the heart of the devotee, who remembers that he is the Lord's eternal servant. So therefore, Krishna says, 15th chapter, 15th verse, Sarvasya chaham vriddhi sanivisto, matak smritir jnanam apaharamcha, vedaischa sarviraham eva vedya, vedantavit, vedantakrit vedavit eva chaham. 15th chapter, 15th verse, Krishna says, Sarvasya chaham vriddhi sanivisto, and I am in the heart of every living entity. And from me come knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So, all knowledge is coming from Krishna within the heart as Paramatma. All knowledge. So, if we become the sincere devotee of the Lord, then He reveals that knowledge to us. So this is a different educational system. It's a different educational system. It's not based on studying, it's based on purity. The more one becomes pure, the more Krishna reveals to us. And there are many examples of it. There's Narada Muni, there's Dhruva Maharaj, there is Kunti Devi, there's Yudhisthira Maharaj. You know, Yudhisthira Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, Narada Muni, they never went to school. They never went to school, not even one day. They were educated by their purity. So Dhruva Maharaj, he accepted Narada Muni as his guru. He was only 5 years old. He had never gone to school. But he, if you know the story, he had a strong desire to see Lord Vishnu. And when Narada Muni realized the boy was serious, even though he was 5 years old, he said, okay. He said, then this is what you have to do. You have to repeat this mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And you have to do the severe form of yoga. And the boy did it. And in 6 months he actually sees Lord Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu, when he's stunned, when he sees the Lord. And then the Lord, realizing his awkwardness, he touches him on the head with his conch shell. And all of a sudden the boy begins to quote very profound Sanskrit verses. How did he learn them? He didn't go to school. It's not even sure that he knew Sanskrit. Right? He's only 5 years old. But you can read the verses that he quotes. You know, glorifying the Lord. That the Lord revealed that knowledge to him, gave it to him. And therefore, and the same thing happened with Narada Muni. He never went to school. But because he served pure devotees, and he asked permission to have the remains of their prasadam, and he developed a attraction to hearing them give their pravachan, he became purified. And in the next life he became Narada Muni, greatest saint in the universe. So, spiritual knowledge is present in the heart of the devotee, where Lord Krishna is seated as Paramatma, the Supersoul. From him, from the Lord, come knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. The Lord dwells in the heart of the devotee and all living entities as the witness. He's the Shakshi, the witness of what we're doing. When a devotee makes a serious effort to hear submissively the glories of the Lord, Krishna takes special interest to help the devotee to always remain engaged in devotional service. By such service, the Lord opens the doors of knowledge from within the heart of the devotee, who remembers that he's the Lord's eternal servant. Well, what happened to Brahma? If you read the Brahma Samhita, you'll see Brahma is born without a mother and father, and before the material creation, and he's confused. He doesn't know, what's going on, and he's trying to find something, but the creation hasn't taken place yet. He's alive, and he's on the whorl of the lotus flower that's growing from the navel of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. So he hears the two syllables, tapa, and he understands that means he must perform tapasya. So he begins to meditate, and he meditates an extremely long time, many, many thousands and thousands of years. And all of a sudden he hears the flute of Krishna, the Vamsa. Right? And just like right now there are electromagnetic waves going through this room, right? Carrying information, pictures, people talking. Would you deny it? No. The same way Krishna's flute carries knowledge. The music of the flute carries tremendous amount of knowledge and visions, visionary things. So Brahma gets a vision of the spiritual world. The material world hasn't even been created yet, but he gets a vision of the spiritual world, and he understands what does he understand? He understands this, that he is the Lord's eternal servant. The last line of that paragraph, right? He remembers that he is the Lord's eternal servant. And at that point, Krishna gives him the knowledge how to transform the avyakta state of matter to vyakta, to go from potential energy state to matter. Right? And then populate the universe with different species. He's a Pitamaha, he's the original Prajapati, and so forth. So then the creation begins because Krishna gives him the knowledge how to do it. So how did it start? It started from tapa, from performing this tapasya. And that's exactly why we live. We're giving this chance. We have a choice. Either we go from the material point of view, eat, sleep, and be married and die in ignorance. Or we go from a spiritual point of view, sacrifice, giving up nonsense, and engaging in good sense the rest of your life, right? But it requires sacrifice to do that. So when your friends are going to the parties, doing the bhangra, drinking beer, and you're home studying, doing arti, cooking for the Lord, so that's the type of tapasya, right? But, or coming to the class, I mean, you could be watching television right now, you know, or you could be doing a lot of, you could go to Las Vegas, you could go to Disneyland, you know. But no, you decide to come and listen to Bhagavad Gita, so that's a type of tapasya. So there's a tapasya or austerity of hearing, the austerity of seeing, the austerity of working, and these are all decisions that we have to make. Should I do some nonsense or should I do something devotional? Every minute we have that choice to make in our life. Okay. So academic knowledge is based on imperfect observation and speculation. Such academic endeavors will never result in understanding the supreme absolute truth. Humble service and attentive and regular hearing of the messages of Lord Krishna will result in clear understanding of spiritual reality. The Lord Krishna declares, Shadaval labhate jnanam tat para samyatendriya jnanam ladva param santim achiren adigachyati. Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, 39th verse. A faithful man who is, or woman, who is dedicated to transcendental knowledge and who subdues his senses is eligible to achieve such knowledge. And having achieved it, he quickly attains the supreme spiritual peace. So, if someone wants to be peaceful, they want to be able to control their mind and their senses, and anger and lust and greed and so forth. Here's the formula. Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, 39th verse. All endeavors begin with a modicum of faith. Modicum means you have to have a little bit of faith. So, for example, when you buy a ticket to fly from Seattle to Mumbai, you have to have faith that that airplane is not going to crash. If when you buy the ticket agent says, oh, by the way, I wouldn't take this flight. You say, why not? I need to get to Bangkok. The plane is going to crash. Would you buy the ticket?
Yeah.
No, you see? Because if you don't have faith that it's going to arrive safely, why would you get on the plane? Right. And if the ticket agent is telling you the plane's going to crash, it would mean you say, okay, no, I'll go another time, you know, you leave, right? So, every endeavor begins with faith that you have a good chance of succeeding in that endeavor. If you don't have that faith, you're not going to do it, right? So, all endeavors begin with a modicum. Modicum means, you know, tuch, like in Hindi, like a little bit of faith. That one's work may succeed. If a person decides to dedicate his service for the pleasure of Lord Krishna, he can attain perfection in this life. The two-pronged approach of serving the Lord and chanting the holy mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, will cleanse the heart of all material desires and replace those desires with pure spiritual desires. There's no possibility of eliminating all desires. This is what the nonsense yoga is all about. You know, kill the ego, no desire, meditate in silence. Yeah. By the way, nobody can do it, number one. And number two, if you give up all desires, then you become like a vegetable. You won't do anything. Right? So you can't give up all desires, because you can try, but still desires will come into the mind. But you can purify the desires. That's the difference. That's what Bhakti Yoga is about. It's not about killing the ego. You kill the ego, you kill yourself. But you purify the ego from a false ego to a pure ego. Ego means I am. So either I am a nonsense or I am the eternal servant of Krishna. So obviously, if I'm the eternal servant of Krishna, I have many duties to perform. And if I'm a nonsense, I also have many duties to perform, but they're all nonsensical. So, here it says, there's a two-pronged process. Serve the Lord and chant the holy mantra Hare Krishna. This will cleanse the heart of all material desires and replace them with pure spiritual desires. By constant service, one also develops the ability to control the senses and the flickering mind. The devotee who is fully engaged in transcendental loving service of the Lord finds satisfaction in himself by the gift of spiritual knowledge and discovery of the Lord within his heart. He cultivates his relationship with the Lord as a gardener cultivates his healthy plants with care and attention to every detail of his work. So, here is the great what do you call that? Anyway, the great confusion that everyone is in life. Everyone is looking for God outside. But actually, we should learn to look for God inside. If you look outside, then it's much more difficult, because you would have to understand the manifestation of all God's different energies, which are explained in chapter 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 of Bhagavad Gita. However, if you look inside, then you can directly see Krishna. Rather than, see, like for example, if you go to South Lake Union, you'll see so many buildings that belong to Amazon. So you're seeing the energy of Jeff Bezos. Right? You're not seeing Jeff Bezos, but you're seeing his energy in the form of all those buildings and all the workers and all the products and so forth. Right? So, seeing the power and energy of God is explained in chapters 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 of Bhagavad Gita. Therefore it says, Rasoham apsakvanteya, Bhavasmi sasi suraya, Pranavasava vedesu, Sabdeke purusham nisu. Krishna says, and I am Rasoham apsakvanteya, the taste of water. Pravasmi sa sasi suraya, the light of the sun and the moon. So these are his energies, just like Amazon.com is the energy of Jeff Bezos, right? All the products you see on Amazon.com, the energy of Jeff Bezos, and also the manufacturers, but he's giving the platform for it. And then Amazon Prime is the energy of Jeff Bezos. You can get your product in 24 hours or in 3 hours or whatever, right? And all these different things, the Washington Post, energy of Jeff Bezos, he owns that newspaper. Whole Foods, energy of Jeff Bezos, he owns Whole Foods. Right? These are all his energies. Right? He's expanded himself into these energies. But more interesting is to meet Jeff Bezos, right? So, if you go inside, you will meet Krishna. If you go outside, then you see all the different energies of Krishna. Right?
My mother said, Prabhuji, like you go for, like you take so many hours and then you go to Jagannath temple and you see Jagannath, but then immediately you close your eyes. He indicates you that like he is also inside in your heart. So,
Yeah.
they're like, so always remember that my mother tells me.
Well, this is what Damodarastakam is saying. It says here, O Lord, the cheeks of your blackish lotus face, which is encircled by locks of curling hair, have become reddened with bimbo, like bimbo fruits, due to Mother Yasoda's kisses. What more can I describe than this? Millions of opulences are of no use to me, but may this vision constantly remain in my mind. Now, there's a vision of Krishna's blackish face with his hair locks coming down, and his cheeks are red because Mother Yasoda is kissing him. He said, "This is all I want. I want that fixed in my mind. I'm satisfied." Or, I simply wish that your childhood pastimes may ever be enacted in my heart. So, for example, kids, they always say, "Oh, tell us a scary story," or "Oh, I want to see a scary movie." Right? So they see a scary movie of Dracula or zombie or Godzilla or whatever, and they go to sleep and they have a dream, a nightmare, right? Where Godzilla has grabbed them, he's going to eat them like a hamburger, right? So these images get fixed in the minds of kids, and they have nightmares, or they have, they start to get afraid because they think there might be a ghost. That's another thing, But yet on Halloween, they dress up like ghosts. Right? Or witches, or whatever. See? But here, this is real education. When a person comes to the realization, look, no, I want to constantly see Krishna. I don't want to see ghosts. I don't want to see demons. I don't want to see witches. I don't want to see Godzilla. I don't want to see, Terminator 3. I want to see Krishna. And I want that fixed in my mind 24 hours a day. That means one has become purified of all nonsense in your life. And because Krishna is so beautiful, that person becomes beautiful. The way they speak, the way they act, their humility, their cleanliness, their loving, affectionate nature. But if I'm always meditating on a demon, then I become like the demon. Or the ghost. Or Frankenstein, or Dracula, or whatever. So therefore, the glorification of something like Halloween is actually a disservice to kids. Because, they want to look like a ghost. That doesn't make sense, does it? They're glorifying death. Okay, so...
Prabhu, I have a question.
Yeah.
So Prabhuji, that means if you have to go inside, that means you have to meditate?
No. You have to do what we just read. Let me read it again one more time. The two-pronged approach for serving the Lord and chanting the holy mantra Hare Krishna, Hare Rama will cleanse the heart of all material desires and replace them with pure spiritual desires. By constant service, one also develops devotional service. One also develops the ability to control the senses and the flickering mind, which includes anger, lust, greed, and so forth. The devotee who is fully engaged in transcendental loving service to the Lord finds satisfaction in himself by the gift of spiritual knowledge and discovery of the Lord within his heart. That's the whole point. He cultivates his relationship with the Lord as a gardener cultivates his healthy plants with care and attention to every detail of his work. The devotee gradually loses all interest in sense gratification and selfish activities for profit, distinction, and adoration, which are the concomitant effects of sex desire. To become an attractive sexual partner, one may seek wealth. An added advantage to wealth is distinction, such as bodily attractiveness, expensive clothes and jewelry, knowledge, awards, fame, power, renunciation, etc. Eventually, one may desire adoration, which is coveted by politicians, dictators, celebrities in sports, entertainment, academia, and other disciplines in which people excel. The obsession for sex pleasure is prominent in most materialists who are obsessed by self-indulgence. In spiritual life, control of the sex impulse and other sensual activities is necessary for peace of mind and focus on the goal of life. The great Vaishnava saint, Sri Yamunacharya, has written, "Since I have been engaged in the transcendental loving service of Krishna, realizing ever new pleasure in him, whenever I think of sex pleasure, I spit at the thought, and my lips curl with distaste. Lord Krishna blesses his sincere devotee absorbed in devotional service to lose his attraction and predilection for material sense pleasures." Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada has commented, "The highest pleasure in terms of matter is sex pleasure. The whole world is moving under its spell, and a materialist cannot work at all without this motivation. But a person engaged in Krishna consciousness can work with greater vigor without sex pleasure, which he avoids. That is the test in spiritual realization. Spiritual realization and sex pleasure go ill together. A Krishna conscious person is not attracted to any kind of sense pleasure due to his being a liberated soul." So, Lord Krishna's most wonderful blessing is his spoken word. The Bhagavad Gita is his super excellent treatise of spiritual wisdom and morality. He instructed the whole world how to be liberated from the bodily conception of life, which is the most perplexing misconception that obstructs people from engagement in spiritual life. Bhaktivedanta Swami explains the process of ultimate emancipation from the cycle of birth and death. One who has a little faith, again, some little bit of faith, in Bhagavad Gita should learn Bhagavad Gita from a devotee, because in the beginning of the 4th chapter it is stated clearly that Bhagavad Gita can be understood only by devotees. No one else can perfectly understand the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, 3rd verse. One should therefore learn Bhagavad Gita from a devotee of Krishna, not from mental speculators. This is a sign of faith. When one searches for a devotee and fortunately gets a devotee's association, one actually begins to study and understand Bhagavad Gita. By advancement in the association of the devotee, one is placed in devotional service, and this service dispels all one's misgivings about Krishna or God and Krishna's activities, form, pastimes, name, and other features. After these misgivings have been perfectly cleared away, one becomes fixed in one's study. Then one relishes the study of Bhagavad Gita and attains the state of feeling always Krishna conscious. In the advanced stage, one falls completely in love with Krishna. This highest perfectional stage of life enables the devotee to be transferred to Krishna's abode in the spiritual sky, Goloka Vrindavana, where the devotee becomes eternally happy. This is in the purport, the Bhagavad Gita 8th chapter, 28th verse. So these are all precious instructions, all culled mostly from the Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita is the zenith of spiritual instruction, the topmost spiritual instruction. It's very simple, it's not complicated, it's very direct, and it's Krishna speaking about himself and answering all of Arjuna's questions to clear the path for Arjuna to surrender completely to the Lord. That's why this Bhagavad Gita is such an important book. Okay. So if we come back, I think we were on 2nd chapter, verse 40. Nehabhikamanastosti pratijayana vidya. Swapam apyasya dharma sanchayate mahato vaya. Krishna is explaining to Arjuna in verse 40 that you're never a loser by becoming Krishna conscious or by engaging in Krishna service. You're never a loser. Why? Because anything you do, the positive result of that stays with you eternally. So that the next time you begin devotional service, either in this life or future lives, you begin from the point that you left off. It's not like working in some company and then you work, just like we had a worker in my factory. He worked 1 week and then he quit. But he wants money for a whole month of work. So we told him we can't do that. We only pay you for the time you work. So that's the thing, you know, that's the material world. However, in Krishna, and then after that, there's nothing, right? He has to find another job. So, but in Krishna consciousness, whatever, and the next job he starts from zero. In Krishna consciousness, if you do 1 day's service for Krishna and stop in this life, the next life you'll start from second day. You don't start from zero. Because whatever you do for Krishna is eternally beneficial. You can never be a loser in Krishna consciousness. Okay, you want to read the purport? Activity in Krishna consciousness.
Because we had already done
That's all right, we'll repeat it.
activity in Krishna consciousness or acting for the benefit of Krishna without expectation of sense gratification is the highest transcendental quality of work. Even a small beginning of such activity finds no impediment. Nor can that small beginning be lost at any stage. Any work begun on the material plane has to be completed, otherwise the whole attempt becomes a failure. But any work begun in Krishna consciousness has a permanent effect, even though not finished. The performer of such work is therefore not at a loss, even if his work in Krishna consciousness is incomplete. 1% done in Krishna consciousness bears permanent results, so that the next beginning is from the point of 2%. Whereas in material activity, without 100% success, there is no profit. Ajamila performed his duty in some percentage of Krishna consciousness, but the result he enjoyed at the end was 100%, by the grace of the Lord. There is a nice verse in this connection in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.17. Taktva swadharamam charanad bhujam hare bhajanam apakyo ta pathet tato yadi yatra kya bhavadram abhut amusyakhe ko varta apto bhajatum swa dharmataha. If someone gives up his occupational duties and works in Krishna consciousness and then falls down on account of not completing his work, what loss is there on his part? And what can one gain if one performs his material activities perfectly? Or as the Christians say, what profit a man if he gain the whole world yet suffers the loss of his eternal soul? Material activities and their results end with the body, but work in Krishna consciousness carries a person again to Krishna consciousness, even after the loss of the body. At least one is sure to have a chance in the next life of being born again as a human being, either in the family of a great cultured Brahmana or in a rich aristocratic family. That will give one a further chance for elevation. That is the unique quality of work done in Krishna consciousness.
Haribol. Good thing we read it again. A lot of good
Yeah.
information there. So one is never a loser in Krishna consciousness. These things that we're reading, this was understood by people previously in India. But today, and it's amazing, most people born in India don't understand this anymore. Even simple people in a village understood these things. That we have an eternal life, that there's reincarnation as long as we still have material desires, that it's possible to go back to Godhead eternally. And, you know, they had all these understandings through the culture. But today, the culture has become Bollywood and Hollywood, and none of this is understood anymore. Instead of reading Bhagavad Gita, they read Das Kapital by Marx, you know, and or they read psychoanalysis by Freud, or they read We All Come from Monkeys by Darwin, you know, and they study those books, but they don't study, or they just read JavaScript. You know. So none of this is understood anymore, even in India. It's an amazing phenomenon. Prabhu, did you understand any of these things when you were in India? No. And you're well educated, right? Did you understand these things, Prabhu, in India?
Society kind of forced us to go in a different direction.
What?
Society.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think what she said is right, Prabhu. Though we were trained right from childhood, we used to kind of disobey our parents. Like you said, how your modern education kind of changes you. I think to a large extent, even I was a very stubborn person when I was in college. Whatever my parents would say, I would disagree with them. I would say, no, this is what the textbook says, and
Yeah.
things like that.
You know how horrified they are hearing that from you?
They were, I think, but I think now they are having the last laugh, because now when I go back and tell them that I'm doing what I'm doing, they're like, okay. I mean, they don't kind of say, but I still, a lot of
But
my
you know
pa-
how horrifying it is for a parent
yeah, I think
who's
it's
coming from a tradition of thousands of years, right? And their kid tells, oh no, I don't agree with you. It's horrifying.
But Prabhu, you know what? My cousins, most of my male cousins were also trained, and they were kind of very strictly trained. At least my parents were like, okay, if we would eat out and all, they were okay. They had to eat at home, no onion, no garlic. But today, all my male cousins, they're all in America, and they all eat meat every day. They have changed their entire lifestyle. They just don't do what they did when they were young, and they have no regrets about it. They're like, no, we are fine. I think nobody can do that.
Modern education. Modern education takes you back to caveman, eating meat. That's what the cavemen did. They used to kill animals, bang them on the head with a rock and eat them, right? They didn't cultivate vegetables or anything. They'd go out and throw rocks at animals or arrows or something and then eat them. These people have become cavemen. They've gone backwards. They haven't gone forward. They think they've gone forwards, but actually they've gone backwards. And this is what modern education does.
But Prabhuji, what happened is like when we are kids, we are under the supervision and we are strict control. And when we come out from the family and come to America, most of the people don't understand why we are not eating meat or why we are following the rules and all that stuff scientifically to withhold. That's the reason that most of the Brahmins family, they are very strict at their childhood, but when they come out, they wanted to enjoy and they don't know why they are not eating. So that could be the reason.
Well, then they didn't get educated by their own parents.
Because
Children should understand why we shouldn't eat meat.
Which not logic, like one person had told me, like what, America is eating meat every day and they are so rich. And like, see what how Indians are suffering. We have been like so nice people and all these things, but we are suffering from food scarcity or whatever it is. So like we are not rich. Lakshmi, we worship Lakshmi, but Lakshmi is more pleased with American who are eating meat. So it's a straight thing, like even I don't know what to say, but obviously I personally know this is not the right thing, like getting attracted by the external glares of all these things. Like I know my parents or like before that my grandparents, they're very happy with just minimal cloth. And I would say you are like a kurpana, means like you are miser, that's why you don't want to spend money.
Miser.
Yeah, you are not want to
You
spend.
used to say that?
I used to say
Oh
that.
my God.
Yes, my father also. My
To
father,
your-
I'm
to your
happy with my
grandparents?
two pair of shirt pants. Don't force me to get more shirt. I would feel ashamed, like my father is not wearing very clean shirt, like he has to change, like that kind of I had thing. Like why he's not getting more dress? Like he should stitch more dress for himself. But you no, I do not want to do that. I'm very happy with my 2-3 dress, like 2-3 pair of shirt pant. He would say that, but I was opposing that. But gradually I'm saying like you keep on
You
filling
were
up
taking
your.
the position of the demons. No, this is what's happened. The kids revolt against the parents' lifestyle, but that lifestyle maintained India for hundreds of thousands, millions of years. And what do we read? You know, Ishavaishamidam Sarvam. God has set aside your minimum. And then what's the next verse say? Kurvan eva karma nijajiva chitam samaha. Evam tvaye nanyate tustina karma lipyate. If one lives by accepting the minimum and not more, then they can live for hundreds and thousands of years with no karma. No karma lipyate nare. There's no karma. So now you understand why your father said, no, I'm happy with 2 pants or 1 dhoti. I don't want. Because in India, you can wash your dhoti, put it out in the sun, and about 15 minutes later it's dry. Put it back on again. In the meantime, you have a lungi on, right?
Yeah.
So it's very. Everything is made for spiritual life in many parts of India. Not everywhere, not in the Himalayas, but.
Just 2-3 pairs of sari, 2-3 pairs of shirt pant, that was enough for them, and they never would think that.
They were never pinched by life. They're happy. So by the way, I'm going to write a little booklet about your grandma.
Yeah, I got the picture probably.
Okay.
You see, I have simple see.
Okay, so what time is it now?
9, 5.
9.
9, 5.
Well, just read the next verse and then we'll stop. Vivasayatmika buddhir ekaha purananda bahusaka inantascha buddhayo vivasayanam. This is a very important verse. Prabhupada used to quote it many times. There are a whole bunch of lectures on this verse. Those who are on this path, meaning path of Krishna consciousness, are resolute in purpose. That means they're like your father. I don't care what you say. I'm not going to change my way of life. I'm happy with 1 or 2 pairs of pants. I'm happy with this.
So Prabhuji, tell me who was wrong, because my father said that was okay. But for us, you are a doctor. When people are coming to meet you, they shouldn't see you like, they don't really respect you so much as much you deserve. And you would say that's okay. And I cannot, based on your demand, I will just go on and get more shirt and something.
Based on your demand, what?
Demand, what demand we are making, the kids. We are asking, no, you should dress properly, nicely, so that.
So he was a doctor.
Yeah. But he will be staying very.
Did he have a lot of customers?
Patients would come, people will come to
No,
ask.
did he have a lot of patients?
Yeah.
Why would so many people come to him?
We wanted that, I don't know, that is
No,
a
they
gradation
came to him
in India
because
a
he was
lot.
competent. It didn't matter how he was dressed, he was competent. He was able to help them.
So what happens is
Let's say someone's very well dressed, but he's not competent. Would you go to that person? No, everyone said, don't go to him, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Go to this other guy, he doesn't dress so nicely, but he knows what he's talking about. You see my point? Your father was competent, he knew how to treat the people. He didn't have to dress, it didn't matter. There's a saying in English, the dress doesn't make the man.
But I'm not able to explain, but there are certain incidents where people will not respect him. We would think that it is because of the way he's dressing up. He deserves more respect.
They didn't respect him because he was not corrupt.
No.
Yeah, that's why they didn't respect
Absolutely
him.
not.
In India, everything happens with bakshish.
That's why we suffered a lot, Prabhuji. We really, if my father would have taken the advantage of the situation he was in, he would have led a very
But wait a minute,
luxurious life.
let's look at the results. You're a good person. You're not suffering.
No, my father went through so much of suffering. I have seen that. So
Okay, but when you say he went through suffering, was he complaining about it?
But Prabhuji, he was at how the end moment happened.
Well, okay, that happens to everyone. But during his life, was he complaining about
No,
his? Okay.
he never thinks that is a problem. But we think that's a problem. Like it's
That's the problem.
just two
No, but
bedroom,
that's the problem.
2 room area, and like we'll be studying, sleeping, like that we do that room. But he could have given us a bigger home, something we are expecting like as a child that time. But we lived a very minimal, simple life.
But you turned out to be a good person.
Now I see that, but that time I was like really complaining. Not me, we three sisters, we always had complaint. And that's what is we regret so much, because we never could see his point of view.
Well, you regret not being able to understand him.
His point of view that time, like now I regret. But that time I was like, but our knowledge was that much. By seeing other people, they are living so luxuriously, but we are living like a very simple life.
Your father was a yogi. He was a great yogi. Yeah, I mean,
That's because our generation were like that. His father and he's like, at least he had serpent. And you go to the village, they only have dhoti and one patei, like the one which you are wearing. They will have one. They go out and they like wash it, hang it. They are just on dhoti and one chadar.
you can do that in Orissa. Yeah, it's a very nice life. Very nice life. Now, you see, the whole purpose is not living a luxurious life. The whole purpose is having time for spiritual life. Right? I mean, did he go to the temple?
He was attending, he's not a regular, like, he goes to temple, but not like ISKCON, but he went to Vedanta class for 10 years. He was studying Vedanta. So.
Maybe he went to the temple. Maybe go once a week?
2 times.
Yeah, so you see, he knew what his limits were. He didn't want to go beyond those limits because he had a structured life, and that's why he was able to raise you, and you were not scarred for the rest of your life. It didn't he didn't abuse you, did he?
No.
Well, these things are hard to understand. Why? Because we think we're missing something that other people have. But if you go inside and discover Krishna, then you're not disturbed by it. But if there's no insight, then you're only looking outside all the time, then you get disturbed. This is the problem. It's always looking for the truth outside and not looking for the truth inside. You look at the truth outside, you see injustice, you see so many things, and it's confusing and disturbing. You look inside. What is being said here? You look inside, you'll find Krishna. You find 24-hour television, Krishna's pastimes. Krishna will reveal these things to you. So you're not disturbed by the outside of it because you have something so powerful inside. Why do you think yogis can sit in freezing water in the wintertime in the Himalayas and meditate and not be disturbed by it? There are yogis that do that. How can they do that? Because they're seeing something inside that is so powerful that they're not being affected by what's happening outside.
Oh, I saw a video. There are some yogis in Himalaya. So they break that ice on the lake, take the water, take bath.
Yeah.
Because bathing is important.
Necessary.
Yeah, necessary. Even whatever is the situation, they'll take that bath. Like cold water, just pour on.
Not cold, freezing cold.
Freezing cold water, yeah. And they're fine. Like it takes so much effort to break it, then take bath.
They don't say, I'll do it tomorrow. And in the summertime, it might be very hot, but they still cook. So, because they've learned to tolerate the diverse conditions, not be disturbed by it, not disturb their routine. Yeah. Okay, anyway, this verse says, those who are on this path are resolute in purpose and their aim is one. O beloved child of the Guru, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many branched. So, here is a very interesting point. They're counterpointing resolute and irresolute. If you made your decision about what your goal is in life, then you can become fixed. But if you haven't made that decision, then you're flickering all the time. You're, let's say, what is the word? Well, flickering is the word in English, but well, it's boggled. You go crazy. You know, one day you want to do this, next day you want to do that. Nothing works. Nothing really works. Right? The symptom of a very successful person is they fix a goal and they organize all their activities to reach that goal. Whereas people who can't fix a goal, they're disparate. They're going this way a little bit, and they go that way a little bit, and they go this way, and in the end, they didn't go anywhere. They never really advanced in life because they couldn't fix their mind on a specific goal and organize to achieve it. Just like you want to train a child, you teach them certain arts. Like it could be Bharatanatyam, it could be Carnatic singing, it could be art, it could be it could be playing the violin, but once they master one thing, then they use that same concentrated, steady, progressive approach to do other things, because they did it with one thing already. So you see, like a lot of young kids, they play basketball, you know, and you think, oh, why are they wasting their time? But some of those kids take it so seriously, they end up, you know, in the NBA, making millions of dollars, or it's football, or it's baseball. They fix their idea on one thing, or it's cricket, for example. They fix their mind on that day and night, cricket. All of a sudden they become a great cricket player, and making millions and millions of dollars. So if we fix our mind on understanding Krishna, then that would be the perfection of our human life. That doesn't mean we can't be a husband or a wife, we can't raise a child. No, we can do all those things, but everything is in the direction of achieving that goal of pure love for Krishna. So your grandmother would be an example of that. Right? She raised kids. She was a good wife.
Actually, she was 21 years old when she was widowed. And prior to that, like, she had 3 kids, all of them died. And her husband, obviously we are Brahmin family, so he was a priest also. But somehow he was motivated to go against the British rule. And when he went out for certain things, so maybe some like morcha kind of thing goes around, right? Like against the British. There were some mass of people were going. He also joined with them.
Band or something.
Like that. So that's when the king of that particular area, he banned him to come inside that area, basically, because he was under influence of British rule. So he said he cannot come into the temple anymore. And so he couldn't come, and he died somewhere outside from some something happened, I don't know, like either was killed or something happened. And my grandma, she raised the kids of her brother-in-law's kids.
Okay.
She adopted
She
my
still had kids.
yeah, she adopted my mother, and my actual grandfather had 5 kids. So she basically raised them.
Yeah.
And my grandfather married another person. Like I had like second eye actually. How happened actually? My grandfather, my mother's father, So my mother's actual mother died of rabies, like one.
Something bitter.
Yeah, she beat that animal. What do you say, fox or something like.
Yeah.
He beat my grandmother, actual grandmother. She was 31 or 32, and that's when she died of rabies. So all these things happen, but like see, the grandmother which I'm talking about, she
Raised the kids.
Yeah, she raised the kids, and very nicely she raised. And just like as I said, like only 2 pairs of sarees. She will get the spinach from backyard. She'll cook for her.
Yeah.
And never eat any really rich food or anything. It was very, very controlled. Very controlled.
Yeah. She was not defeated by the adversity. She conquered over it.
No one can imagine how like somebody can take so much of responsibility yet never got disturbed. As you were saying, like yeah, she wasn't very disturbed with the situation. She must have cried for sure, like but.
No, but she had some relationship with Jagannath. That relationship compensated for everything else. That's the real thing. That's the real thing. People that don't have that relationship, they're troubled all the time or they go crazy. Okay, we'll stop right there. If you want this booklet, it costs $4. We'll be reading from it every week and also
Please tell us you wanted the booklet. Please tell us you wanted the booklet.
I don't have a nice picture of it. This is only this. That time Odisha Post.
yeah. No, this is good.
Oh, it's like it's damaged also. Because it's the only
It's all right.
picture we have.
That's right. That's good enough. Yeah. So what you want to do is, now you write down notes, things you remember
About that.
about it. And then I'll record you. That's just for your own memory, you make some notes, right? And then I'll record you. And I'll write a booklet with her picture and description. I did this for David Narayan's father.
Yeah, I remember. Like
Haribol. Big. Is this Hova? Yeah. Great.
this is Chena Podo, Prabhuji.
This is Chana.
Chena Podo.
This is
Oh, that's not
what?
Chena Pura.
This one is Chena Podo.
Oh.
This is made from cheese cake actually.
Oh, okay.
And Odia traditional.
You made it?
I made it. Yesterday was my birthday actually.
Oh, wow.
So I made it.
Pretty cool. Sariram, Vidya, Sakare, Sakare, Sakare,